Hello again, everybody. This is the time of year that parents are getting physicals for their kids. And for those that play sports, there is a new debate. Should EKGs become standard for teens before hitting the field or court? Dr. Paul Thompson is from Hartford Hospital. He's joining me in studio now. Good morning to you, and thank you for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, let's go right back to the basics here. What would having an EKG show? Why should parents even think about doing this?
Well, it's really a debate nationally whether or not you need to have them. And the real debate is whether it should be mandatory. Most of us feel that it shouldn't be mandatory that athletes have to have an EKG. Now, an EKG can reveal whether there's an abnormality. Not always, but often it can reveal whether there's an abnormality. But the real hassle is this. About 10% of healthy athletes will have an abnormal EKG. So that means you got this EKG on a lot of kids, most of whom are healthy,
right.
Very few of whom have the problem. So it's going to lead to a lot of additional tests. That's going to affect parents in the pocketbooks, and it's probably not going to save a lot of lives.
So if it's sort of like a false negative kind of thing, or a false positive kind of thing?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's the term, false positive.
Right.
If you take 1,000 healthy people, most of them healthy, then any test you use, and all tests have false positive rates, is only going to identify false positive tests in healthy kids.
So it could lead to a lot of, panic with the parents, like, oh my goodness, my child, pulling them off the field when they don't really need to be, and like you say, more tests. So it could perhaps do more harm than good in some kids?
Some of us actually think that all this screening can do more harm than good. It's almost like the prostate screening debate.
Right. What we don't know won't hurt us, right?
Sometimes what you don't know will hurt you. Now, the key issue is if a kid has some trouble, their exercise tolerance isn't good, they're short of breath, they complain of chest discomfort, or the parent is worried, then it's worth it. Because worry is a big issue. And I always say to patients and parents that they know more about their kid and about their worries than I do. So if they're concerned, I'm concerned.
So what age are we talking here? We said in the introduction, teens. Are we talking young teens, like 13, 14, or later, like in high school sports?
The whole group is where the debate is. And our issue is maybe some of those kids need tests, maybe they don't. That really should not be made on a mandatory basis, but by your physician whom you know and trust and who knows that kid better than anybody else.
And you mentioned the price here. Of course, that's, back to school just alone, getting all the school supplies and paying the sports fees and everything else, costs parents a fortune these days. So then on top of it, a test that may or may not be covered by health insurance, pricey, right?
The test will be covered.
Okay,
of course, there are now a lot of co-pays that parents have to pay.
Right.
It's not the cost of the EKG that's the problem. It's the problem that somewhere around 9 or 10% will be positive, and then there are other tests that the child will require, such as echocardiograms or an exercise stress test. So if the parent has concerns, or if the kid has symptoms, or if the pediatrician has concerns, then that's where you should proceed with those other tests. Now, you asked which group. It's really kind of the high school, junior high school group that we're concerned about. And why is that? Because that's the time when kids grow a lot. And when you grow a lot, it puts a lot more stress on the heart, because the heart has to grow as well.
Lots of really good information here. All right, Dr. Paul Thompson from Hartford Hospital. Hopefully we answered a lot of parents' questions this morning. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
All right, looking for a